This has been pointed out more than you and I even know, but it needs to be said just how amazing it is to see a show continue despite not immediately being the biggest thing in the world. Because realistically, no amount of money or connection to a known universe will make that happen unless it is given time to breathe and organically develop into the public's consciousness. Welcome to Sandwich Reviews. I'm the Talking Sentient Sandwich, and I am so happy that Season 2 of The Rings of Power started out with a bang. And of course, for my thoughts on Season 1, I recently rewatched all of it and made a review, and I think it's a good video to watch if you're curious about the show, because the same general reasoning for why I enjoyed parts and didn't enjoy others still stands. Despite the fact that Season 2 was establishing the same characters we'd seen in the first season, many new faces were added, and the majority of these 3 episodes did feel like setup. I don't doubt all of it will come together wonderfully later on, just like it did in Season 1, but right now, the many different storylines might be too many. Though I do think the 3-episode premiere of Season 2 is better than the first 3 episodes in Season 1, just from how I wasn't constantly thinking about how vague everything had to be so as not to step on the toes of the lore and ensue the wrath of the army of lawyers. These 3 episodes, and hopefully the show going forward, confidently depict stories the writers think will be interesting, regardless of any legal pushback. And though that's probably not even true, and just wasn't on my mind as much as I was watching this, but I can still tell that more care was put into the characters themselves, rather than the delicacy with which they could fit into the pre-existing lore. And as should be expected, the visual effects are top-notch. Most of that being used for set dressing and enhancing character design instead of for action, though it's not like these 3 episodes didn't feature any cool action. But with that, I feel like amazing choreography was thrown into the first season early on just to show how cool some of these characters could be. And I was never against that, but in this, the rare action that happens is fewer and far between, so that when it does eventually come, it's much more tense. However, with that, I wish there wasn't as much manufactured tension, because whenever you put a character we all know from the original trilogy in danger, there's no reason to be concerned. No matter how bad it gets, we all know they'll make it through. But despite that, if you're on the fence, wondering if the show is a valuable use of your time, go for it. It's not perfect and has its flaws, but I think Amazon's The Rings of Power is definitely worth checking out, especially with how much promise Season 2 has given so far. And though there's plenty more to be discussed when the season wraps up, I want to talk about the spoilers in its premiere. So make sure you've seen all 3 of the episodes we've gotten if you want to keep watching. Ready? Alright. This show has a knack for incredible season openings because they've gone 2 for 2. Seeing Sauron killed by Adar and exploding into a frozen winter was jaw-dropping. And the sequence that followed, where we saw Halbrand's entire journey from Slug to Galadriel's boat buddy, was awesome. Adar's recasting threw me off for a sec, but the minute the orcs started chanting his name, I was up to speed. Since then, Sauron's just been off in his own corner, forging the rings and corrupting Celebrimbor, and it's fun to see his plotting, but I do find it hard to believe that Galadriel isn't hunting him down, considering that was her whole thing in Season 1. But I know they'll eventually face off again. And Ciarán Hinds is added to the cast, who we barely see, but I can't wait for more to unfold with his character. I'm a casual Lord of the Rings fan at best, so I say this with a lot of caution, but he's a dark wizard wearing white robes, so naturally my first thought was Sauron. I should probably go with my gut, because it was right about Gandalf and Sauron, but who knows, he could be the Witch King of all people. And I also have to mention Durin, because the whole story with the dwarves was interesting, but it was just my man having a tough day at work that really got me invested. Poor guy. There was also a returning character that I was just waiting to see, and I stayed away from the trailers just to avoid spoilers, so when Arondir wasn't in the first 2 episodes, I thought there might have been a chance he was cut entirely, but he showed up in episode 3 in full swing, and I straight up cheered. And before I conclude, I gotta talk about an unnecessary location card. It doesn't matter, but I thought it was pretty funny when the show decided it needed to exposit that we were in Mordor during a shot of Mount Doom. Like, yeah, I know. But again, that's inconsequential and does not matter, because overall, I really enjoyed what Season 2 of The Rings of Power has given me so far. If you agree, or if you're uninterested in watching the rest of Season 2, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe for weekly video essays and reviews, and enjoy a delicious sandwich.